Hello, Savvy Beauties. Welcome to Clean Beauty Scene. We're on YouTube and on your podcast apps. So I want to welcome you to the show. I'm your host, Kelly Bonanno, eco-friendly lifestyle and wellness coach. Today we have a great topic, something that a lot of you women, I'm sure, struggle with. I know I have in the past, and I still do because we're all human. Cravings. And so we're going to talk about that with my good friend and beautiful, wonderful, knowledgeable Brianna Wilkerson, health coach. And before we get started, I want to remind you that my group program, the Body Harmony Method, enrollment is open. So the link is in the show notes, or you can just go to kellybonanno.com/bodyharmony. All the details are there. And you can also, of course, book a consultation if you have any questions. And my meal planning workshop is coming up on October 5th, kellybonanno.com/meal plan. And that link is in the show notes as well. So now let's talk about cravings. Welcome to Clean Beauty Scene, Brianna.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
So I just realized, I think this is your third time, second or third.
Can't keep up, Kelly. We just keep coming. Yeah.
This is awesome. And we're also going to talk about a really exciting announcement that we have. Brianna is hosting. So Brianna is known for these summits, these health summits. And some of you listening, watching have probably participated in them if you've been in my community for a while. And they are fantastic. She curates a whole group of amazing health coaches and practitioners on all kinds of different topics. So we're going to tell you all about that and how you can sign up, because that's coming up real soon in October. Now, let's talk about cravings.
Yeah, let's do it.
What they are, how do we stop them? So I'd love for you to explain, why do we get cravings? What causes them? There's so many things, but what is something that, that you can, just to describe it in layman's terms, that, why we get those little instincts to grab the salty, grab the sweet, grab the whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think we just need to, as you're saying, normalize cravings. As cravings aren't actually bad. I think we've demonized them. We say that they're bad, or the thing that's, caused, when in reality, cravings are just a longing and desire for certain foods or certain drinks. And they can be triggered by a variety of causes. I used to kind of say environment, external or internal causes, right? So an example of an external craving could be you walk past a bakery and the smell brings back a memory of your grandma's favorite cookies. And suddenly you want a cookie or a donut or something like that. Or an internal source could be hormonal, like you're stressed out, your cortisol levels are high. And so your body, your brain is like, hey, remember the last time maybe you had that cookie, you were less stressed, or you felt better after. Sure. So go ahead and get something to comfort you, right? So there are tons of different causes for cravings. And I just think we need to just figure out before we label them bad or good, or say oh, I struggle with this, like we all do. And it's just really figuring out what's at the cause or at the root of that craving, and what do we actually need to satisfy that craving. It's something that I've just really helped my clients through as well. So we talk about people, we have different sort of cravings. Some may say oh, I crave, so you can kind of crave a flavor or a taste in your mouth. And then maybe you're actually craving a non-taste sensation. So a flavor could be sweet, it could be salty, it could be sour, it could be bitter, and savory. A lot of our foods, if we look at all of our different foods, quote unquote, healthy or not, actually have those components with them, right? Sometimes people are craving something fatty, right? Because there are receptors that are on our tongue that bind to those fatty acids and produce a taste of fattiness. Sometimes it's those non-taste sensations, like crunchy. Sometimes people are I just crave something crunchy, which actually ends up could be sweet or could be salty. Sometimes it's spicy, I'm craving spicy food, right? And really what that is, it's just there are chemicals in your body that when spicy food interacts with it, gives you a certain sensation. And so there are different kind of things that we can crave, different flavors, different tastes, and even non-taste sensations. So first, it's just good to be aware that all of that's happening, versus even demonizing it's bad that you're craving salt, or it's bad that you're craving sugar. No, it's just what you're craving. And there's
a biological response, and
right.
Blame yourself for it. I think we get into the blame, I'm so bad that I want those cookies. Nobody's bad.
Right. Yeah. Stop believing yourself is bad.
Yeah. And no food is good or bad. It's
right.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I think some internal causes of cravings could be actually, I think honestly, we're craving something. We may be craving nourishment that is, well, one, food wise, like maybe we're actually not getting the nutrients we need. So our body is craving that nutrient, but we are sometimes we don't know exactly what that is. So we're like, oh, maybe I'm like craving like energy. Like I'm craving carbs because I'm low on energy. You could be craving like good, nutritious, fueling carbs, but maybe what your brain is saying is that you need carbs quick. So you go to that sugary, quick, processed food, whatever, quickly, right? Sometimes you're actually craving what I would say primary food or things outside of your plate, right? So sometimes you're craving connection in relationships. Sometimes you're craving peace over your finances. Sometimes you're craving wanting to have a job that you feel more passionate about. Like those things do lead to you wanting to comfort yourself or satisfy yourself in something. And usually we're using food for that kind of satisfaction as well.
Yes, that is such a good point.
Yeah.
And then people often, they want those things and they satisfy it with food. That's
right.
Kind of almost a whole other topic, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a whole other topic there. Yeah, totally.
Something to be aware of. And, it's interesting what you said about the bakery. It's true. Just the smell. And like, I remember I sometimes I'll walk around, I'll take my walks, especially if it's later in the day and someone will be barbecuing and that charbroiled, and I don't eat meat. I'm a pescatarian. I haven't eaten a charbroiled burger since the 90s, but that's still, it makes me crave it. And you crave things you don't really even want or would eat. It's like, yeah. Or that burger. Sometimes like my son had burgers and fries and they were downstairs. I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells so good.
Right. Yeah.
Bite into a cheeseburger, but yeah.
Yeah. And then, even when we're talking about hormones, I think often we just think about the estrogen and progesterone around our cycle, but actually when we know there's 50 plus hormones in your body that play a huge role in your body being able to communicate. So if you aren't, for example, we are talking about getting enough carbohydrates as fuel, there's just different hormones that are at play that are actually causing you to crave that. Or if you're actually eating too much carbohydrates, insulin is being produced at a rapid speed and your body just wants it more and more. It's just the weirdest thing. And so all these other hormones in our body, when they're imbalanced, it can manifest itself as a craving. So that's why taking care of yourself through the practical things you talk about, that I talk about, that even this summit will talk about, will balance those hormones and will actually balance those cravings as well.
Exactly. That is one of the biggest things. And another thing that I know I've heard you talk about is hydration. People take hydration for granted, and it's so important on so many levels, but thirst can signal as hunger, and it can make you have a craving that you think you're craving when you really just need to hydrate.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's a huge one, right? Like just dehydration where we're not giving our body the hydration that it needs. And I mean, the consequences of going, we can't go without water. An average human body is roughly 60 to 70% water. It helps regulate our body temperature, helps our kidneys filter out waste, keeps our skin healthy. We talk about clean beauty over here.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And so sometimes we just really need to drink a good cup of water. Like, I know that to be true. I'm like, I feel like I'm hungry, but I kind of just ate lunch. I'm like, oh, when was the last time I had water? A couple hours ago. Go drink a cup of water.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you just keep it with you. And then you don't have to think about it. You just always.
Right. And
you're right about it. It really does affect the skin. And I always say, like, do you ever hear, models and celebrities, they'll say, they'll be asked, so what's your, one of your top beauty tips? And they're like, I drink a lot of water. And you're like,
right.
Give us something good. But the truth is, they do, because they know they have to. And it is true. That is because your system will take fluid, from the skin's tissues to maintain that concentration in the blood. And that's why, the sallow, sagging, wrinkly. Gotta hydrate from the inside out. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And another thing too is nourishing your body with like good foods, enough proteins, enough healthy fats, because often, again, we're craving something because we're not satisfied. We're not nourished from our physical food. And so that's why we talk about eating whole foods. That's why we talk about maybe, intermittent fasting, all these different things. It's just like, how do we nourish our body so that it gets what it needs so that it's not like crying out for help and we don't know what it's crying, like a baby. Like I have a 15-month-old. Sometimes she's crying and I'm like, what exactly do you want? Because you can't speak yet. But then as I learn her more, I'm like, oh, this is why she's crying out. And the same thing we'll learn our bodies when we can learn and listen to our bodies more. I'm like, oh, okay, I need water. Oh, okay, I haven't had carbs today or whatever, or I haven't had any food at all today. So I think that's another solution around this too as well.
That I think is a great solution. It's like, have you nourished your body with some nutrient-dense foods? That's the number one. Water, and then that little protein, healthy fats. You got to just be satisfied. That's so true. And then when you do that, and then you get a craving or you want something, then you can enjoy it because you want it. Not because, you've already satisfied with the nutrient dense foods. And then that's why I always say, like, you got to allow yourself. It's not about restriction. And when you get to that place where you've got the moderation, my mom always used to say everything in moderation, when you've got the balance and you're taking care of the 80-20 rule, if you're taking care of yourself in most aspects, 80-90%, you're getting those nutrient dense foods, you've got some wiggle room. It's okay to have that glass of wine, to have those meringue cookies. That's one of my
we all have that thing,
vanilla meringue cookies. I love them.
And I think ultimately at the end of the day, we did another podcast about this, deciphering your food labels. It's just knowing what's in your food, because often we think of certain food as health. Oh, and I don't want to say healthy, but like it's whole, pure, clean, whatever. And then you go look at the ingredients and it has something in it that actually that ingredient could be what's making the food a certain texture, or could be, letting you crave things. Like so often, like I think a lot of people use artificial sweetener, which is not bad. It's just know that just because you're having artificial sweetener does not mean, yes, you're not getting those calories, but that does not satisfy your sweet. Like that's artificial sweetener is like 200 to 600 times sweeter than regular sugar. So what that tells to your brain is like, keep eating sugar. So even that's why when you drink Diet Cokes, or nothing wrong with Diet Coke again, but like when you have a lot of that stuff, it's like, it doesn't satisfy you and it doesn't satisfy your body. It actually makes your body want it more as well.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that. I think if you guys are multitasking, come back to us. That's a really important point.
Right.
That is such a myth of these artificials, not to mention how unbelievably healthy they are. I mean, unhealthy they are. I mean, I read that like aspartame was not even supposed to be approved, that it was legal, political.
Right.
I don't that stuff at all.
So I just think, with this conversation at the end of the day, like just I think the best way, obviously there's tons of tips and stuff we could talk about, but just ask yourself, like, what sort of things am I craving normally? When am I craving those things? What's going on behind those cravings? And that could really just help you start to see, oh, I start craving sugar at 3 p.m. because I didn't eat lunch, or I haven't had water. And, so just being aware, mindful of that, and ask yourself just honest, like, scientific, experimental, just matter of fact. Don't bring emotion into it yet. Just say like, okay, this is when I'm craving. Like that's the importance of a food journal. That's the importance of all that. It's just seeing those patterns, and then we can adjust versus like, I'm so bad because I'm craving this all the time, but maybe you're just stressed out all the time. You're not eating during the day. So you come home, of course you're going to eat all that because your body's like, feed me. So I just think it's like, one, let's just remove the guilt or shame out of it and just look at it very matter of fact, like what's happening. And that way you can be able to address it.
Yes. Just look at it objectively. No judgment. Judgment pushes things away and blocks your success. Absolutely.
Yes.
And you mentioned the ingredients. That's so important. And that have that health halo. Oh, man. It's a lot like the greenwashing,
Right. Yeah. And
it's a great episode. You guys, I will link that in the show notes as well. What episode number it was. I think it was like,
I don't know. It was like a while ago. It was one of your first ones. Yeah.
You were one of my first guests, of course.
Yes.
So we will link that too in the show notes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was very incredibly helpful as always. So let's switch gears and share all about the upcoming summit.
Yeah. So this one is called Your Healthiest Years Yet. And as I started to look at the women that I've worked with in the last 5.5 to 6 years of coaching, a lot of them are women, 40 plus or heading there. And just that particular age of your life, there's just different things going on, not just with your body, but with your life. Like maybe your kids are older and they're off. And so you have some more time for yourself. Or maybe you're just like, you've done that dieting roller coaster for a long time and you're like, this ain't working. And or maybe you just experiencing major changes and shifts in your body as you get older. As I started thinking about them, I just said, I just want to have like an event and bring together women who can directly help them, really just help them see that this can be your healthiest years yet. If you live to your 80, that's half of your life. And I don't want half of your life to be miserable. I want you to feel healthier and healthier each year. Yes, will there be limitations? Maybe. But that doesn't mean that you can't still run a marathon. That doesn't mean you can't still play with your grandkids. So this summit is October 18th to the 22nd. It's a free summit where there's 30 plus speakers. A certain amount of talks will go live each day. And it's catered around different areas of healthy habits. So we're having women speak on nutrition, movement, stress, sleep, digestion, toxic load, and mindset, with all that with the intention that you're going to learn something new. You're going to get a resource or two to help you, and you're going to get the community and the speakers to support you in that week. And I believe a lot of great things can happen in that week, but I believe true transformation comes with time. And so that's why you can buy the summit with a bunch of tons of bonuses to kind of like go through it. Yeah, go through a few maybe during the week, but go through it at your own pace, go back to it, connect with the speaker, and just like let it be like your little course for the fall where you can just learn and implement, which is a key thing. Let's implement what you learned during the summit. So there's even going to be a prep event to help you get the most from the summit. There's a summit. I'm going to be doing a post-summit event just to really help women use what they learn and transform their health forever.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's so great. And I love that. That's the other thing I wanted to make sure for those of you listening, if you're not listening in real time and it's, a year from now,
right.
As we record this, it is September 2021. You can purchase the summit. Right. It's going to still be available. So the link in the show notes, do you have an easy URL? Well, actually the URL.
Yeah. Just put in the show notes. Yeah.
You guys, it'll be there. And it's fantastic. You guys won't miss this. And I'm going to be talking about the five reasons, not the 5 reasons, but 5 of the reasons that intermittent fasting and reducing toxic load really help women over 40 end the weight fluctuations. That's one thing I find women that come into me. It's yes, losing weight is a big thing, but it's ending the weight fluctuations. That's what we want to stop. And
right.
And, I'm a big proponent of intermittent fasting, of course.
Right.
Not that, not all my clients do that, but it's something that I definitely help with. And once they realize how easy it is, then they're like, oh
yeah.
But, so my talk will enlighten a little bit about that. And
And there's other talks, tons of different talks and topics focused around, similar things like that. And,
how many
and
talks
so
are there? 30?
There's at least 30, there's 30, 31, 32, can't remember, but so that it's quite a bit to listen to. And that's another thing. It's like if you're at home right now, have nothing else to do, maybe you can listen to all of them each day, but that's even the importance of buying it, because I think each of these talks, I've handpicked each of these women, we've worked on their topics, are like gold, where they're basically mini master classes, which you would spend a certain amount of money for each class.
Right.
And you're getting a lot of them for a very affordable early bird price if you purchase it early or even during the summit and even after. So that's why I'm like, listen, if you have to purchase anything, purchase one of these. And I purchase summits all the time for that reason. I know I'm not going to go through it all. Right. And I think the what this person curated is beautiful. And I want to go back to it, refer back to it often.
It really is. It's like a masterclass. I mean,
right.
Or many little masterclasses all in
right.
one. You're really getting so much.
Right.
Guys. So don't miss it. Hit that link in the URL and sign up. I mean, you can sign up for free too. It's free for a certain amount of time. So go for it. Yeah. And we'll be talking about it more. If you guys are in our community, you'll see all our posts about it and all of that good stuff. And if you do sign up, tag me and Brianna on Instagram and let us know that you're participating, and then let us know your takeaways and what you
the more women that are part of this, the better.
Absolutely. And tell your friends about it too, because especially like you said, women in this age group, us women over 40, over 50, hello, you know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you and I have such a similar philosophy. I mean, you're not there in that age group, but your
Right.
clients are,
Right.
that you don't have to give it up. I mean, I've experienced, you know, it's
Right.
like you can still look your best and fit into your favorite jeans, and if you have that energy sustained through the day, you know, you don't have to give up and say, well, I have low energy or I have aches and pains or stress or whatever.
Right.
That's just what happens when we get older. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to. And like you said, doesn't will you still have some issues? Yeah, maybe, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be as you can, you know, you can feel so much better than
Yeah.
you think. Yeah.
There's a reason back home in Cayman. I think when I was there over the summer, someone passed away who was like the oldest person ever in Cayman. I think he was like 107. So it's like, he's doing something. And my grandparents were like 80 something. So it's like, they're doing something right. And actually, when I look at their lives, they live a very simple life. They still do work, which was key. Like they still do something with their hands and with their minds, and they're watching what they eat and they're moving. And so the stress, the movement, the purpose, the nutrition, it's like, it really allows you to have what you to live a long, healthy life. And so they've been able to see great grandkids, you know, so it's like, it's just beautiful. And so obviously that's not everyone's story. Sometimes things come in and happen, but from what we can, like we can be proactive. And I remember my grandfather used to smoke and drink and was at risk for diabetes. And I think went to the doctor and just completely transformed his life. And now, you know, when he's over, he's like, no, I don't eat that anymore just because it's not good for me. And I'm just like so proud, like, oh my gosh, you've completely transformed your life. And I'm pretty sure he did it when he was in his 70s, right? So it just goes to show,
proving it never's too late.
It's never too late. Never too late.
It's got more energy even than it
is. Yes. So yeah.
It's like you've heard of the blue zones, you know, those.
Yes, the blue zones. Yeah, I thought exactly about that.
You know, I've studied a little bit about them. My book that I will finish eventually, I have about that. And actually, I had a guest on. We talked about that. I can link to that episode in the show notes too. But these people in the blue zones, they just, these areas, these regions of the world, they live longer, and they not just longer, but they live they have vitality. They are
right.
Good. And a lot of them, they're doing a lot of the same things, and
right.
the same things that you and I.
Right. Yeah.
It's
right. We don't want to live longer if we're not living
exactly
good, you know, like, so it's not about just long life. It's about long, enjoyable, vital, healthy life. Right. And so I truly believe this summit could be a catalyst for a lot of the women, you know, listening. So
yeah. And it's such a great time of year, like get in now, and then, you know, and then you can get into the holidays, have a healthy holiday season, and get 2022
right.
with all of this in your arsenal. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Brianna. As usual, it was wonderful chatting with you. I love it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys, check the link in the show notes for the summit and also enrollment for my group program. Would love to see you in there and help you guys get some of these wonderful healthy habits in place, so they're on.
Yeah.
And you know, the meal planning workshop also, that's happening. And if you're, you know, not listening to this in real time, I'm probably doing it again periodically. So check the link. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Be healthy, stay well, and be present.
Awesome.